You're listening to the Daily Mishnah Podcast with Benedict.
So we're in the 8th chapter of Bava Metzia, and we started talking about rentals, but we diverged into questions where, let's say, of uncertainty or doubt, and particularly uncertainty or doubt related to time. And these questions, they're all related, by the way, to contracts between one person and another, because that's the essence of the tractate of Bava Metzia. We're talking about contracts between two people. These questions about uncertainty of time run right the way through to the end of the chapter, the 8th chapter, but we will eventually end up, in fact, we'll see even today, we're going to be tending towards questions of rentals. So we're circling around time and we're circling around rental. But we're going to begin here just with time. Hamocher zeitim la eitzim. Someone sold his olive trees as wood. I've translated here as firewood, but it's just, well, it is wood. It is wood. It's firewood. So he sells his olive trees as firewood. And we need to make an assumption when we're going to read the rest of the Mishnah that he sold his trees, but they haven't been delivered and taken away yet. Of course, if they'd been delivered, there'd be no uncertainty about time at all because we know what time they've been delivered. But clearly, we made the financial transaction on the trees, but nothing else has happened. So these trees, they're still growing on his land. So what's going to happen? Well, they're going to bear fruit, aren't they? Before they're cut down, they might bear fruit. So let's carry on with the Mishnah. And they made less than a quarter a log per seah. A quarter log is about, I think this is going to add up to about 120 mil. So this is not very much. This is like a cup full of olive oil. It's not very much olive oil. So they made olives for a tiny little bit of olive oil. It's not enough olive oil to even have a financial dispute about. Hare elu shel baal hazeitim. They belong to the owner of the trees, i.e. the person that has purchased the trees. He's entitled, when he cuts down the trees, just to take the olives and press them. He can keep a cup's worth of olive oil. That's for a trivial quantity. But asur ve'id laseah, if they made more than a quarter log per seah, so a significant amount of olive oil, zeomer is a taiki delu. This one says, my trees produced it, i.e. they were produced after the time that I bought the trees. So they were my trees when they produced it. V'zeomer artsi gidela. And the other one said, my land produced it, i.e. when the trees were sitting on my land, these olives fruited, and it's that fruit that created the oil. And of course, we can't really tell because olive trees the fruit is growing continuously. The fruit grows for a long time. So how do we know whether the oil was produced before or after the financial transaction took place? We got uncertainty of time here. Just like in the previous Mishnah, someone traded a cow for a donkey and the cow gave birth. We weren't certain as to whether the birth happened before or after the financial transaction took place. We got uncertainty of time. And just as in the previous Mishnah, the Mishnah is going to rule. So they both make opposite claims. We can't rule. So the Mishnah rules yachaloku. They divide. We'll see in this whole stream of Mishnayot that the Mishnah is going to be unable to resolve these uncertainties and will just rule yachaloku. They shall divide. And similar example, shataf nahar zeitav untanan latoch sadeh chavero. A flood washed away someone's olive trees. This must be some kind of flash flood. Very severe flood. we've washed away the olive trees. Untanan letoch sadei chavero, and they've been deposited in the midst of the neighbor's field. Maybe fields are small in the time of the Mishnah, and floods, well, a flash flood is always significant. So they don't have to move very far to be replanted or put down somewhere else. And they're going to have the same discussion. Ze omer zeitai gidelu v'ze omer artsi gidela. This one says, oh yeah, my trees produced them. And the other says, my land produced it. Now, why would they have a dispute about the tree and the land? And this is actually not about time. And you may remember, a few years ago, we learned a Mishnah from Orla, from the tractate of Orla is fruit which is inedible for the first 3 years. Now, if we plant an olive tree, clearly we're not going to eat the fruit for 3 years. What if we transplant it by uprooting it from one field to another? Well, the Mishnah rules that if it's uprooted with the earth around the roots, it doesn't count as orla. You can eat the fruit straight away. Look, here's the Mishnah in Orla. Ilan shenekar vehasela imo. A tree was uprooted and the soil was with it. This is exactly our example. It's been uprooted by a flood, but the soil is with it. Shetafo nahar vehasela imo. A stream swept it away with the soil with it. Im yachol lichiot patur. If it could have lived, it's exempt. It's exempt from Orla. In other words, going back to our Mishnah, this flood has washed away someone's olive trees. It's put them down in the middle of the neighbor's field. Well, if the earth is still with it, then it's exempt from Orla. The neighbor can eat the fruit. That's what the Mishnah is getting at when it says, V'zeh omer artsi gidela. One says, oh yeah, my land produced it, i.e. my earth that was washed away with the olive tree has enabled you to eat this fruit because it's not Orla. So who has the right to the fruit? Well, we don't know. The Mishnah rules, Yachaloku, they shall divide it. Let's go on. Let's keep going with other questions. Other questions of time, but now coming back into rent. Someone who leases a house to his fellow in the rainy season. He can't evict him between Sukkot and Pesach. Apparently, between Sukkot and Pesach, it's really impossible to rent anywhere, I guess, because it's raining, right? So the rental market is difficult. You can't evict someone when the rental market is stressed. In the summer, 30 days. In the summer, 30 days to allow him to find somewhere else to live. And these timings, by the way, are reciprocal. The tenant can't give notice either. And in cities, in cities, whether during the rainy season or the summer season, 12 months. Apparently, the rental market is always tight in the summer, and it's normal on both sides to give 12 months notice on a rental. And as far as shops are concerned, whether in cities or small places, 12 months. It seems as though shopkeepers seem to have, well, I will guess if you're a commercial establishment, you can't just pick up your stuff and go. The Gemara suggests perhaps that a commercial establishment has got credit lines extended to local customers. So they have to essentially collect in all their debts before they go. But I think we all agree that moving a commercial establishment is harder than moving a personal establishment. And maybe that is why the Mishnah rules 12 months. And Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel is going to be even stricter than this for certain kinds of establishments which have heavy duty equipment, which have got physical plant installed there, which are going to be difficult to move. So let's have a look at Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel. Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel says, Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel Omer, Chanut Shel La Nachtomim, a baker's shop. Baker's shop's got a big oven, of course. Ve'shelat Savaim, or a dyer's shop. A dyer's shop's going to have all these vats full of horrible chemicals and all kinds of stocks. A baker's shop or a dyer's shop, shalosh shanim, 3 years. It may take, you have to give someone with that level of equipment in the premises, you have to give them 3 years notice before evicting them. Because that's the sort of timescale it takes to relocate your premises if you're a baker or if you're a dyer.
Thank you for listening to this edition of the Daily Mishnah Podcast with Benedict.